Hello, everyone. Welcome back. The headline today sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Trump's tariffs on Canada, other countries are illegal, a U.S. appeals court has deemed. Is this great news? Does that mean that the tariffs will all have to be removed? Well, not exactly. Let's discuss this, but before we get into it, I recognize that it's the September long weekend, or perhaps you're watching this video just after the September long weekend. And in Canada, this is the last long weekend of the summer that we all like to get out and enjoy. And many of you who decided to choose Canada and spend your time in our country on this fabulous weekend, you shared some of your amazing pics in the I Choose Canada group, this one being of a beautiful scene of a nice town in Newfoundland. But I have to share this one post in the I Choose Canada group with all of you. Posted by Karen Moyler in the I Choose Canada group, she snapped this selfie of herself wearing her I Choose Canada shirt and sharing her story in which she chose Canada in real life. She writes, "I moved to Canada from Missouri 21 years ago. I remember so clearly singing O Canada along with the other new citizens from around the world during my citizenship ceremony a few years later. What an honor and a thrill to live in this wonderful country. Took this pic this morning on a walk at G. Ross Lord Park in my hometown of Toronto." Welcome to Canada, Karen. This post has been viewed by over 100,000 Canadians in the I Choose Canada group, and she's got over 10,000 likes and almost 1,000 comments. So the I Choose Canada group is popping off, and if you have some pictures of yourself, maybe selfies, maybe just the beautiful places you visited in our amazing country, share them there in this growing community filled with patriotism and pride that we just created a couple of months ago. Now let's get back to the story here, and it's been widely reported, so you've probably heard about this, but I'm going to delve into it in detail and explain really what's going on. The best article that I believe has hit all the key points I found here on Global News. And they write, the U.S. Appeals Court on Friday upheld an earlier ruling that U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada and other countries under national emergency provisions were imposed illegally. But the court will keep the duties in place for now. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit in Washington, D.C., in a split decision, it was not unanimous, agreed with a specialized federal trade court that Trump exceeded his authority as president by hitting Canada, Mexico, China, and dozens of other trading partners with sweeping tariffs. The ruling did not strike down the tariffs immediately, however. Instead, it keeps them in place till October 14th, to allow for the U.S. government to appeal this decision to the U.S. Supreme Court. And of course, that prompted Donald Trump to get on social media and say, all tariffs are still in effect. Trump went on to say, today a highly partisan appeals court incorrectly said that our tariffs should be removed. So now the case will move to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they will rule on this. And I guess you could call the Supreme Court another highly partisan court. The 7-4 decision upholds a ruling in May by the U.S. Court of International Trade, which found Trump's use of the International Emergencies Economic Powers Act, the acronym for that is the IEEPA, if you don't know what that means. This court found that the use of the IEEPA provisions to impose tariffs by declaring national emergencies was unlawful and violated the U.S. Constitution, which affords tariffing and tax powers to the U.S. Congress. Now, this bit of information is key, and I'll go through it with you, because a lot of just regular people like to make up their minds and decisions just based on emotion. No, it wasn't right for the president to impose those tariffs. He doesn't have the power to do that. And people may have their predetermined views on what the outcome of this case should be. But you have to understand what is legally being argued in this case. And I'll point out that there's more than one case. There's about 7 or 8 cases that are working their way through the courts. In this particular one, Trump used the IEEPA for 2 of his largest trading policies, so-called reciprocal tariffs on dozens of countries to combat what Trump claimed was a national emergency of trade deficits and what the courts have referred to as trafficking tariffs, and these would be the tariffs that are on Canada, Mexico, and China, which Trump has accused of contributing to a national emergency of fentanyl entering the U.S. So the U.S. government has used this IEEPA law to impose tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China for the reason that there is a national emergency of fentanyl entering the U.S. from those countries. That includes Canada. So the majority of justices on this appeals court sided with the trade court, noting that the IEEPA makes no mention of tariffs and that the Trump administration was wrong to argue the president has unlimited tariffing power under the law. Nor are we deciding whether the IEEPA authorizes any tariffs at all. Rather, the only issue we resolve on appeal is whether the trafficking tariffs and reciprocal tariffs imposed by the challenged executive orders are authorized by the IEEPA. We conclude they are not. So the reason they ruled against the United States government and have said that these tariffs are illegal is because they say that imposing tariffs is not authorized in this IEEPA. The court noted that Trump has other powers to impose tariffs without Congress, including Section 232 of the U.S. Trade Expansions Act, which has been used to tariff foreign steel, aluminum, and other specific sectors. So some of the tariffs that are against Canada on steel, aluminum, and the automobile industry are not affected by this judgment at all. So this is all getting very complicated, right? I can keep going through this article and your eyes are probably glazing over and you're wondering, well, what does this mean? Are the tariffs legal? Or are they not legal? Are they going to be removed? When is the Supreme Court going to hear this case? Is the Supreme Court going to agree? Are they going to disagree? Are they just going to delay? This type of stuff does tend to give people headaches. So let me break it down, maybe describe it for you in a little bit easier to understand format. I'll describe the whole U.S. justice system for you, and then you'll understand what's going to happen in the future. So basically, the United States justice system is a very complicated system. So how does it work in practice? Well, it sort of goes like this. If you're white and you have a lot of money, you're rich. And having a lot of money and being rich means that you have influence. You have influence on who is chosen to sit on these courts. And if you're really rich and you have a lot of money and therefore a lot of power, the ultimate power, say you're the president, then you have the authority of actually selecting the judges who sit on the top court, the Supreme Court. So the richer you are and the whiter you are in the United States, the way the justice system works for you is that you can take any issue you want and litigate it, delay it, bring forward motions, refer to different precedences, hire really expensive lawyers to litigate certain aspects of the case for you, appoint special prosecutors or special lawyers to work on your behalf and have different aspects of the case heard in different courts, have things postponed, have things appealed over and over and over again, have them reheard, countersue, bring forth counter litigation, have things bogged down in the legal system and in the court system for years and years and years, while you continue to pretty much do whatever you want. That's how the justice system works in the United States if you're white and very rich and very powerful. On the other hand, the poorer you are and the darker tone of brown your skin is, for you, the justice system is designed to very quickly lay charges, prosecute you, convict you, and sentence you. And in the United States, that's described as we are all equal under the law. So noting that these tariffs have been imposed by the U.S. government, a group of people that is mainly white, mainly rich, and mainly powerful, I would guess that the justice system will do its job and churn this through the system for months and months and months, if not years, delay and postpone, perhaps until Donald Trump's term is over, or perhaps when the case gets to the Supreme Court, the court that has judges that were appointed there by the white rich person that has all the power and is president now, they'll rule in his favor, or perhaps rule in some ambiguous way that really doesn't answer the question and allows this to continue. So my 2 bits, is it time to jump for joy and say the tariffs are illegal and the United States is going to have to remove the tariffs and admit that they were wrong? No. I think the most likely outcome is that whatever the decision is by any court, this guy here will just continue to do whatever he wants. Now, after that very pessimistic assessment and prediction of what's going to happen in the U.S. legal system, let me continue here, because some of the things that have happened and what the Canadian government has done are a direct result of what these legal challenges actually are. Let me continue reading here. The tariffs on Canada, which do not cover goods under the Canada-United States-Mexico Free Trade Agreement, were raised to 35% on August 1st. The White House at the time cited Canada's reciprocal tariffs, which are now set to be removed starting September 1st, and what it called a lack of cooperation on fighting fentanyl trafficking as a reason for the increase. So the legal justifications that the US used to impose the tariffs are precisely the reasons that Canada has acted in the way we have, removing some of our reciprocal tariffs, which Mark Carney just announced a couple of weeks ago, and investing money on increased border security. Not because we believe that there's a national security risk of fentanyl crossing into the United States from Canada. That's ridiculous. But because the United States has used this as the legal justification for the tariffs and the fact that we're doing something about it, showing that we're doing something about it, there'll be other court cases coming through the system which will contend that this is not a national security risk on the United States because, look, Canada's doing something about it. All of these things that happen and that are reported in the news are not just one country caving or one country winning. It's this chess game that's going on behind the scenes because Donald Trump and the US administration has chosen these obscure reasons to justify the tariffs in the first place. So let's go back to this beautiful picture taken in Newfoundland while we just close out here. So is this great news that the appeals court has said that the tariffs are illegal? Are the tariffs going to be removed? Is Donald Trump going to be forced to reverse everything and remove all the tariffs? No, it's just more drama, and I can tell you that I really don't know what's going to happen in the future, and neither does anyone else, neither do even the lawyers that are fighting these cases. No one knows what the Supreme Court's going to say, whether they're even going to rule on this, whether they're going to delay it. There's hundreds of different paths that this could go, but basically, I would say, this is an opinion now, this isn't based on fact, but this is my opinion, the tariffs will stay as long as Donald Trump wants them. And his style is to just do something, whether it adheres to the Constitution or not, just do whatever he wants, and then let the legal system battle it out for years. And he understands the legal system in the United States. He's a rich white person with lots of power, so he can just do whatever he wants, and he can do things faster than the courts can keep up. And that's how it works in the United States. He can just keep making decisions and triggering new court challenges, knowing full well that those court challenges will take years. And by the time they even get close to being resolved, he's already potentially breaking or testing the law 20, 30 more times. The justice system just can't keep up. The justice system in the United States, if you want to be a pessimist about this, is virtually irrelevant in whatever they decide. So what does that mean for all of us? Well, just enjoy the rest of your summer. Keep choosing Canada in the purchases you make. Each of us can vote with our wallets. Buy Canadian, vacation in Canada, choose Canada every way you can. And if you do and you want to share your picks with a lot of like-minded thinking people, share your pride and your patriotism in our country, share your picks in the I Choose Canada group. Thanks for watching, everyone. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying my content. If you want to support this channel on a monthly basis, click the join button and become a channel member. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you all on the next one.